Garage 419 is brought to you by Death Race, starring Jason Statham, in theaters August 22nd.
And it's another episode of Garage 419. I'm Matt Farah. You already knew that. And today on the show, I have Craig Lieberman, producer of our own Next New Network show, Bikini Driving School, and technical advisor for Fast and the Furious 1 and 2, car wrangler for 3. What's up, Craig?
How's it going, Matt? Good to be here.
Thanks for being on the show. So, we've got Fast and the Furious 4 coming out soon, and what we want to talk about is what it was like making those first 2 movies, how it got started, and some of the after effects of those movies. So, who decided to make the first Fast and the Furious movie?
I think Rob Cohen and Neil Moritz got together. Neil Moritz has done movies that you might have seen, like Cruel Intentions. Remember that movie? Mm-hmm. One of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
It's dirty. I like that.
Yeah, it was
filthy,
that girl was
movie.
really out of control. It's the kind of girl we all want to not bring home to mom, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And Rob Cohen, who had done movies like Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, Running Man rules.
Yeah, great classic.
You know what I love in The Running Man?
What's that?
Richard Dawson drives the 85 Quattroporte limo, but it's the future.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
I'm surprised that car ran long enough to get through a movie. I've seen.
Yeah, I only have to go 50 feet, but still,
yeah,
it's lucky.
Maserati's capable of that, yes.
All right, so what were they thinking with this movie?
Early on, the script that I first read, when I was originally approached on the script, a guy saw me at a car show, and I think the only reason he approached me is because I was the oldest guy at the show and close to his age. And everybody else at the show is 20 years old. I was like 35 at the time.
Yeah.
So we got to talking, and I was running a drag race series for Peterson Publishing. You know, they do Hot Rod Magazine and Super Straight and a bunch of those kind of titles.
Uh-huh.
So I said, well, I want to talk to you about this script. So he comes to my office, basically gives me $100 for my time. He says, take this on an airplane with you this week, and I know you got to go away, and we'll hook up next week. So I'm reading the script on the airplane, and all I'm thinking to myself is, this is comedy. I mean, how are they going to pull this off? They've got cars in weird places. Like originally the movie, they were going to have a 3000 GT as the main car in the movie, and they were going to go down to an Eclipse. So clearly they had done some research on what cars were out there and what cars were popular, but they had some things, a little out of sequence.
Well, you can't start with the good car and then take a step down.
Yeah, and some of the sequences wouldn't have worked. They needed a target top to pop off for that hijacking sequence and all that, so they needed I thought a Supra, which I just happened to have parked in my garage at that time. So,
okay.
So that's how that thing got started. Went up to Universal, and the whole crew comes downstairs at Universal Pictures, and they're all looking at the car. I take Rob Cohen for a ride, and I'm showing them the nitrous tanks in the back, and I'm explaining to them what nitrous oxide is, because they really had no understanding of what that was all about. I'm sure the picture car guys did, but they hadn't got that far yet.
Well, they were not car guys at all?
They were not car guys at all. They were going to hire car guys to build the cars, and they did. They wound up doing that, but at that time I was probably the first person that was talking to them about what a turbo does, how a turbo works, what is nitrous oxide, and they fell in love with that concept.
Okay.
And for some reason, they felt that all cars needed to have 2 nitrous bottles, because that's what was set up in my
One
Supra.
just isn't enough.
No, one is, if one is good, 2 is better. It's just like women,
of course,
right? Yeah.
Yes.
So I take him for a ride, and when the turbo comes on, he thinks it's the nitrous boost, so that gets written into the script in a bigger way. And
so wait, his confusion is what caused a generation of people to think nitrous is the way to go for performance?
Yeah, and the picture car people who worked on the movie were really good about putting nitrous in all the cars.
Yeah.
And we were showing them how nitrous works and the purge valves and all that other stuff.
The purge valve really is, for me, the only point of nitrous. To roll up to a red light and go...
Yeah, do you remember that scene in part 2 where the purge valve blows the skirt up on the girl? It was kind of a Marilyn Monroe thing. I was talking to director John Singleton about that, and collectively we came up with that gag, which I thought was downplayed too much in the movie. But
it's great. That's good stuff.
So, and then the car guys came up, the Eddie Paul's guys came up with all these little mini nitrous, sneaky pea bottles under the RX-7 thing, which I thought was a really cool effect.
Yeah.
So they really jumped on the band with nitrous oxide. And after the movie, I talked to one of the guys from NOS, and their sales went up like 1,500%.
Oh yeah, surprise.
Well, and everybody had to have NOS. Because
that
was the label on the bottle, so
right.
Everybody said NOS. And the stunt guys were calling it NOS. All the buttons on the steering wheel were NOS.
Yeah.
And people were getting pissed off. I was getting
It's like
angry
Kleenex.
emails.
It's the brand that gets identified with the product.
Give me a Coke. Give me a Kleenex. Right.
Now, for the record, your Supra is the Supra from the movie, right?
Yeah, it was yellow when I had it. Had a clean, sedate body kit on it. Had a little, turbo done by a local guy out in New York. Vinny Tend actually did the turbo on that car. And it was yellow and clean. And when Universal got it, said, well, we want to paint it orange, and we want to do Bomex body kit, we want to do the giant shopping cart wing, and we want to do the nuclear gladiator graphics down the side. And I was like, hey.
Was that the Roman warrior?
The Trojan war helmet, or whatever you call it. I don't think that's the right phrase. But But
Isn't the Trojan War helmet something else?
I think it's something else. I don't know. It's just kind of stuck in my head, you know. So the graphics were done by Troy Lee and Valdemar Kalinowski, art director on the thing. And R.J. DeVera, who was the other tech advisor in the picture, and I were looking at these cars going, there's no way. I mean, they're not going to pull this off. But the way they put it, you know, they were really smart about it if you think about it, because all the other cars that were going to be on set had regular graphics on the street. Everybody was pretty much doing graphics a certain way.
Just
so
the AutoZone.
No, they were doing, you know, modern image kind of graphics with, you know, special tribal stuff or some variation thereof, right? No one was doing multi-layered, airbrushed, chrome, vinyl graphics on cars at that time. So they had to make these cars stand out to be different enough so that an average kid in, you know, Bucksnort, Tennessee would see
that a real place?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Road trip.
Have fun with that. The average person from rural America would have to see these cars and realize that there was something immediately different about these cars and the extra cars on set. So there's a lot of effort placed on that.
Okay. So now there's obviously a couple things, you know, in all movies you have to suspend disbelief a little bit. And so obviously, you know, you're on set a lot, and the two scenes that stayed out in my, well, three actually, is one in the beginning of the first one, floorboard falls out of the car, right? And then 10 minutes later, Vin Diesel hops in the passenger seat, and his feet are, he doesn't mention that his feet would be dragging on the ground.
Right.
What's going on with that?
All right, that was a script under development, and it was always under development. Originally, the scene was they wanted to see something spray on the driver, so they wanted to do an oil pressure gauge. It pops out, the gauge pops out and sprays the driver down with hot oil. Of course, no oil goes to the gauge, so I counseled against that. Okay. I suggested that perhaps you take the nitrous oxide bottle, show the bottle heater on it, show the thing going into red zone because the bottle heater malfunctions, overpressurizes, it pops the hose and sprays the interior down with frosty nitrous oxide.
That would have been okay.
And would frost up the glass. He was fighting the genie behind the seat kind of thing, you know, and it would be a really good scene, and it's not terminal. But one of the guys on the picture, and I honestly don't remember who it was was like, you know, I see fire and sparks here, so let's make the floor fall out of the car.
Because that happens all the time.
Yeah, apparently. You know,
I mean, have you ever seen a floor fall out of a car?
I ran a drag race series for 4 years, and even with cars that had floors, you know, pop riveted in, I've never seen that happen. But again, you've got to suspend disbelief. Yeah. The way I like to put it to people is, look, you watch Star Trek, any one of the Star Trek series, spaceships do not need to bank in space.
Good call.
Okay?
That's true.
Are they sending freaking hate email to Gene Roddenberry saying, hey, jackass, you don't turn like this in a spaceship?
Okay, what about the scene at the very end, the last race of the movie, Vin Diesel's in his Charger, and he does a burnout, but does a wheel stand at the same time?
Another good technical inaccuracy. Again, they were counseled about that, but again, Universal's position, I think the crew's position was, the majority of people who see this movie don't know much about cars. And I always believe that the people who saw that movie, I don't think 50 million people saw that movie. I think 5 million people saw it 5 times. And that's why that movie made money. And the 5 million people who saw it were car people. I mean, ask your little brothers or sisters when Fast and Furious first came out, how many times did you see the movie? I guarantee the answer is at least 3.
Yeah.
But they were all car people.
Right.
Well, that whole stunt was pulled off by using a special system of bars with little dolly wheels and then compressed nitrogen or air cylinders in the back, and then the thing goes up and it gets up. But the burning out thing was just...
Yeah, well, because either you're getting traction and lifting the wheels or you're burning out and not.
Yeah, you know, flame out the exhaust of the cars.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So, when we come back on Garage 419, we're going to talk about Fast and the Furious 2, maybe a little bit of 3, and the future Fast and the Furious 4. Stick around.
You're familiar with the death race. The drivers are convicts and the rules are simple.
It's kill or be killed.
I can see the appeal.
Win and get your freedom.
Let's play a little offense.
You're out in front. Who are you going to shoot at?
Hold tight.
I love this game. You can burn me, you can shoot me, but you can't kill me!
Rated R starts August 22nd.
So, Craig, we've been through 1. Tell me what it was like working on number 2 in Florida.
Wild experience. They transported the whole crew and all these cars down to Miami Beach, put us up in condos in South Beach, took really good care of us. It was great. And we built the cars in the middle of the ghetto. And a nice picture car warehouse.
That's where they do. That's where they do it. On you know, most people do it.
Rent's cheap, yeah. So we're bringing in parts every day. You know, tons of nitrous oxide bottles. By this time, it was easy. We pick up the phone and call up NX and get 50 bottles, like 50 seats from Sparco. Granny, HKS, everybody was giving us parts. It was a lot easier to build the cars.
And the main cars, you had an Evo and an Eclipse.
The Evos we intercepted. They were actually on their way to a rally team in Europe. We needed the cars for the movie. Mitsubishi complied.
Nice.
The Skylines, John Weiser and John Feinblatt, they got those cars from England and got those cars over there, so we needed a bunch of those.
But that silver Skyline in the beginning was also yours,
yeah,
right?
that car was mine. We needed a primary principal car, so we used my Skyline. They painted it from blue to silver and did their own graphic thing, the Shelby stripes and all that. I don't want to talk about it.
Now, I heard that the original car was not supposed to be that Evo.
No, it was supposed to be a, I think, $12,000 rental car, but Singleton looked down the table. I was writhing in my seat when I heard that. I said, look, that's not going to work. You put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. Care how much NOS you use, it ain't going to work, right?
Yeah.
So Singleton, to his credit, said, I don't want no booty-ass shit in my movie, so tell me if this is booty. So they switched.
So they switched and got an Evo. All right. Now, I feel like there is a disproportionately high amount of street glow neon on all the cars in this movie. Why?
2 words, product placement. Somebody pays to be involved in a motion picture, and they need the product, and it adds something to the movie, then they did that.
All right. So basically pay $20 million in every single car.
No. I'm sure the product placement fees weren't that high. But, you know, they have no one to blame but the tuners who were doing it at the time. Every freaking car that rolled into Hot Import Nights has neon, right? And people say, well, I don't use APC stuff. Really? Well, APC sales were like $50 million a year. HKS is doing $5 million. It's like dating a fat girl. And no one wants to admit they're doing it, but somebody's doing it.
Okay, so number 3, we take it to Japan.
Yes.
Country moron street racer gets punished for street racing by getting sent to Japan.
Greatest script ever. I mean, if you're going to punish somebody for street racing, what you want to do is send them to the capital of street racing.
Right.
It's like taking a pedophile and saying, your punishment is you're now the head of Boy Scout Troop 299.
It's for charity, folks.
Yeah, so somehow they got past that little suspension of disbelief and produced a pretty good movie. I thought it was the best of the 3.
Well, maybe in terms of production, I mean, the script was a little contrived. Is contrived the right word?
I think a complete fantasy would be good, but it had 3 key elements: really good car sounds, badass cars, and a half-naked Asian chicks.
Right,
I'm in.
right. But all right, who was it that decided? Okay, Bow Wow has got to drive a car that looks like the Incredible Hulk.
Okay, this is a proven recipe. Steven Seagal has been proving this recipe for years. You take a washed-up American actor, put him with a music celebrity, and you have a movie.
Oh.
Right? It explains the entire, the Steven Seagal series where he was with, what's his name, with the prison movie and all that. I forget what that movie was.
All I know is Steven Seagal sucks. That's all I know about him. But seriously, Incredible Hulk car. Why?
Again, you've got to think there was some out-of-control art director who said, I want to do something crazy with fiberglass and to display my creativity, and which is an art word for stupidity. And it is what it is. But the other cars were good. I mean, the Veilside RX-7.
The Veilside RX-7 is nuts. That thing actually is one of the only, the Japanese kind of cars that I really thought was awesome.
The 350Z was good.
Yeah. Now, who's doing the actual drifting in that?
Tanner Faust, who just got picked up for Top Gear, and Sammy Hubinet, 2 very talented American drivers.
I love Sam Hubinet.
Yeah, these are great, talented guys.
Tanner's a nice kid, too.
Yeah.
All right, so the 4th one's coming out. Got anything to share?
I hope they kind of get back to the roots where it's more of a car movie than an action movie. I think they learned their lesson with 2, hopefully.
Yeah.
And if they're, authentic with the sounds and they use good cars and, no more CGI and girls talking and it's real quiet inside of a drift car. They've got to get rid of that stuff.
Having now been in a drift car, I realize how absurd the scene is in 3 where they're drifting on the side of the cliff and having like a nice, quiet, romantic conversation.
It should be like your honeymoon. The girl should be screaming the whole time.
It is the most absurd sequence of any car movie.
Suspension of disbelief.
Yeah, you got to do it, man. Craig, thanks so much for being on the show. Look forward to seeing how Fast and the Furious 4 comes out, and keep up the good work. Bikini Driving School at bikinidrivingschool.com. Right?
Thanks for having me.
Any
Yeah,
last
that's you want to go there if you want half-naked Asian chicks. That's the place.
Half-naked Asian chicks. And if you don't want to see any half-naked Asian chicks, but you do want to come race go-karts with me and pro drivers, go to garage419.com, click on the invitational link, and sign up for the Garage 419 Invitational Charity Pro-Am go-kart race. Getting lots of applications. Keep them coming, and I might pick you to come drive with us. Peace. You know what kind of car I'd want in the death race? New York City taxi cab. Why is that? Have you ever driven in Manhattan? Do you know what these streets are like? You may as well be in a death race. If I was Jason Statham, I would have practiced for this role, driving around New York City with these maniacs. And on August 22nd, Death Race is going to be in theaters. Check it out.